maintained direct eye contact with SCP-173.
If you've ever blinked and felt like something moved, actually moved, you already understand the nightmare that is SCP-173. It first popped up on an old internet forum back in 2007 with one creepy photo, and suddenly, boom, the entire SCP Foundation was born. And it wasn't just some spooky ghost story either. It was clinical, cold, full of rules. Never break eye contact, don't blink. Simple instructions, you might think, but deadly consequences. The sculpture, as it's nicknamed, doesn't waste time. The moment you're not looking, it's already snapped your neck. This is the reason the SCP mythos even exists today, and once you know the weird truth behind where it came from and how it works, you'll never look at it the same way again. We're ready to explore the roots and origins of SCP-173, but before we get too far ahead of ourselves, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to the channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin.
Please maintain direct eye contact with SCP-173 and...
The birth of SCP-173, the first SCP. Back in 2007, a user dropped a now iconic post of a simple photo of a strange concrete sculpture crouched in what looked like a grim warehouse paired with a short containment dossier. That combo image plus sterile file sparked more than just goosebumps. Readers were handed a clinical report with procedures and risk levels and left to fill in the gaps using their imagination. By leaning on implied horror, SCP-173 planted a storytelling seed that would grow into something massive. SCP-173 became the cornerstone, the lens through which future writers would approach each new anomalous object. Who created SCP-173 and when? On July 22, 2007, a user named Moto42 marched in with the bare essentials and let readers run with it. Then, before most people even realized it, others were remixing, expanding, questioning who built this statue. And so, a small post on a niche forum in the middle of the night became the spark that ignited a collaborative exploration of alternate reality horrors. Moto42 may still be anonymous and rumors swirl, but what's undeniable is that he gave everyone a blueprint, and the world of SCP hasn't looked back since. The original post played like a puzzle. Why does it move only when unobserved? Could we escape? What happens in those 2 seconds of blinking? That loose framework turned SCP-173 from a single horror piece into a world-building machine, giving birth to fan art, mock experiment logs, and in-universe interviews. Why SCP-173 is considered the original SCP. Calling SCP-173 the original isn't just because it was posted first, it created something. Before it, there was no SCP Foundation. Afterwards, an imaginative boom propelled hundreds of entries, dozens of characters, and thousands of community contributors. SCP-173 showed that horror could feel believable even without graphic detail, and that a simple document layout combined with audience participation could blow open an entire universe. It set the tone. The Foundation was a bureaucratic mechanism. Anomalies weren't monsters, they were objects to be logged, examined, and classified. And that meeting of the mundane and the otherworldly became the SCP brand. Every SCP entry that followed, creepypasta fanfiction in structured form, owes its style, pacing, and vibe to that first unnerving blend of photograph and report. That's why it's the bedrock. Without SCP-173, Foundation fans might never have picked up the mantle, and without that instant germ of creativity, the SCP universe would have stayed a file in someone's folder. SCP-173, the sculpture, description, and appearance. SCP-173 isn't tall or bulky, and somehow it's one of the most terrifying things the internet has ever imagined. According to the SCP Foundation file, SCP-173 is a vaguely humanoid statue made from concrete and rebar. It stands completely still, but only when being observed. The second you blink or even glance away, it moves at lightning speed towards you and snaps your neck. That's its go-to move, just cold execution. It's the ultimate don't look away nightmare. The file doesn't give you dramatic details, it just says it leaves behind a reddish-brown substance on the floor, possibly blood and feces. Charming. The less you know, the worse your mind makes it. That was the genius of the original description. Physically, it's got a head that fans often describe as peanut-shaped. It's long and slightly swollen at the top, tapering near the neck. Its limbs are exaggeratedly long and jointed in ways that feel unnatural, giving the impression it could spring into action like a twisted puppet. The surface of the body looks rough and uneven, like unpolished cement, and it's always stained with smudges and dirt, which might be dried blood or something worse. Its arms are positioned in a semi-raised posture, like it's either reaching out or caught mid-motion, frozen in the act. And yet, no matter how still it appears, the file reminds you again and again, it will move when you're not looking. The visual inspiration behind SCP-173 is just as disturbing as the entity itself. The original image used in the SCP file is actually a real sculpture titled Untitled 2004 by Japanese artist Izumi Kato. The piece resides in a gallery in Tokyo and is made from concrete, funnily featuring many of the traits that made it into the SCP description, which would be the odd proportions, the head that's too smooth and expressionless, and oh, let's not forget the creepy primitive aesthetic. Kato's work tends to blur the lines between childlike and demonic, and this particular sculpture nailed that vibe perfectly. Moto42, the creator of SCP-173, didn't try to mask the influence. The picture was the starting point. People saw it and immediately associated that look with the killer statue. To this day, even though the original image has been removed from the SCP Wiki due to copyright reasons, fans still tie that sculpture to the character. You really can't unsee it. Once the SCP fandom took off, the design of SCP-173 evolved wildly through fan art, animations, cosplay, and even video games like SCP Containment Breach. Some depictions make it look more skeletal or emaciated, while others go all in on the weird baby statue aesthetic with bulging eyes and tiny fingers. Some artists play up the creepy cute factor, while others lean into the body horror style, reimagining 173 with exposed joints, mechanical parts, or a stitched-up mouth. But one thing always stays the same: the pose and the concrete skin. The anomalous abilities of SCP-173. We've already talked about how it teleports when you're not watching. It's not magic, but it sure feels like it. The Foundation has logged dozens of encounters proving how fast and deadly this thing is. Direct eyeball-to-statue observation is the only thing keeping you alive. Let's break that down with an actual case. Incident 173-1 involved 3 D-Class personnel performing routine maintenance inside the containment chamber. The protocol required all 3 to maintain eye contact in shifts. One was supposed to clean, the other 2 keep their eyes locked on the sculpture, but during the task, D-173-2 sneezed, breaking visual contact for less than a second. That's all it took. 173 closed the gap instantly and snapped his neck before the others even realized he'd moved. By the time they screamed, it was already repositioning itself towards the next guy. 2 dead, 1 survivor, and all within a span of maybe 5 seconds. And then there's Incident 173-6, which happened during a power outage caused by a short circuit in the facility's backup generators. The cameras monitoring 173's cell went dark for just under 90 seconds. When the emergency lights kicked on and the guards regained access, they found the sculpture in the hallway. It had already killed 6 staff members, snapping their necks at various points along its path. Autopsies showed no hesitation or delay. Each death was instant. No witnesses survived to see it happen. The thing had escaped its cell and made it halfway through the sector before being recontained. And that was all during one blackout. There's also one memorable experiment logged under test log SCP-173-07, where the Foundation tried testing just how fast it could move. They placed it in a room with multiple high-speed cameras and blinking lights designed to simulate intermittent observation. Even with those conditions, the footage revealed that SCP-173 could cover a distance of 8 meters in less than 0.2 seconds. The camera barely captured the blur before it reappeared next to a mannequin with the head twisted off, as usual. As worth noting, 173 doesn't speak or show emotion, but it knows the rule. It won't move unless you give it that window. That makes it predictable, but still not safe. Think of it as a landmine with legs. Just because you know how it works doesn't mean it won't blow you to bits. Containment procedures for SCP-173. You'd think containing a statue would be easy, right? Just throw it in a concrete box and walk away. But SCP-173 makes that plan laughable. The Foundation learned that the hard way. This anomaly doesn't care about walls or doors. It only cares about whether you're looking at it. The current procedure is cold, precise, and built from hard, blood-soaked lessons. SCP-173 is kept in a locked, reinforced concrete containment chamber at all times. There are no windows, and access is strictly limited. The only way in is through a secure steel sliding door with redundant locking systems. Every time maintenance or observation is required, a minimum of 3 Level 1 personnel must enter together because 2 people might blink at the same time. 3 creates a rotation. 1 person blinks while the other 2 keep their eyes glued to the statue. They actually say their blinks out loud, like, "blinking now." This sounds ridiculous until you remember that failing to do so has killed multiple staff members. Take Incident 173B, for example. 2 researchers entered the cell with a D-class subject for testing. The 3rd observer was delayed by about 15 seconds due to a bad door seal. By the time he arrived, 173 had already snapped both researchers' necks. The D-class was gone. No one even knows how the statue reached him so fast. That one breach led to the implementation of the triple man rule during every interaction. Now, the containment room itself is designed with motion sensors and infrared tracking, but none of that stops 173 from killing if it gets the opportunity. Cameras don't count, someone must physically see it. The Foundation once tried using advanced AI-assisted camera tracking, thinking automation could handle it. Didn't work. During test protocol A17, the AI misread a glare on the lens as visual contact, and boom, 173 moved. Luckily, no one was in the room, but the damage to the test setup was clear. Since then, all observations have been done manually. Another major containment issue is fluids. SCP-173 constantly secretes a reddish-brown substance that builds up on the floor. It's gross, but more importantly, slippery. During cleaning incident 173-9, a janitorial crew slipped on this muck, and one observer hit his head on the floor. He blinked. The other screamed. 2 fatalities. The cleaning procedures were then updated to include floor traction mats and reinforced helmets. Not to forget that the cleaners were needed to be trained in high-risk environments. There's also the problem of power outages. SCP-173 containment is always routed to priority backup generators. The lights and door locks are on isolated emergency circuits, completely separate from the facility grid. That change came after the blackout breach of Site-19, when 173 escaped containment for nearly 5 minutes, killing 6. It was eventually stopped by luring it into a hallway with bright spotlights and a volunteer team of observers using mirrors and coordinated line of sight. The cultural impact of SCP-173. SCP-173 literally reshaped how internet horror worked. Before SCP-173, creepypastas were mostly linear stories, short horror stories about haunted game cartridges and ghost sightings. But 173 introduced a new format of clinical horror, and people couldn't get enough of it. The success of SCP-173 directly led to the creation of the SCP Wiki in early 2008. Contributors built off its cold tone to write about hundreds of new anomalies. Haunted vending machines, interdimensional staircases, time-warping teddy bears, you name it. Every single one followed that original format of object class, containment procedures, description, and some unseen horror. As of today, there are thousands of SCP entries with hundreds of spin-offs, story arcs, character crossovers, and even regional branches like SCP-JP for Japan or SCP-CN for China. In 2012, SCP Containment Breach was a free indie horror game dropped onto the scene, and guess who was the star? 173. The whole game is built around navigating a failing containment facility while avoiding various SCPs, but 173 is the first enemy you encounter. The idle rule became the core of the tension, and players quickly learned to fear that static concrete face popping up around corners. The game helped launch the career of multiple YouTube Let's Players. Markiplier, for example, made multiple viral videos reacting loudly to being hunted by SCP-173. The result? Millions of views, new fans discovering the wiki, and a massive expansion to the SCP fanbase. You can also see SCP-173's fingerprints in modern horror media. The Don't Blink mechanic is seen in episodes of Doctor Who with its weeping angels, though those technically came first. But SCP-173 took that idea and ran with it, turning it into something brutal and immediate. Other games like Gary's Mod and Minecraft have SCP mods that feature 173. In fact, Roblox has entire SCP-themed servers, many of which focus specifically on escaping from or containing 173. It's become a genre of its own. And then there's the internet art scene. SCP-173 has inspired hundreds of fan artworks, many taking creative liberties with the design. skeletal versions, biomechanical takes, even plushy interpretations. You'll find 173 on posters, in comics, in animations, and lurking behind players in VR horror games. It's even referenced in unrelated games like Fallout New Vegas, where fan-made mods include custom SCP-173 encounters. And of course, there were the memes. There are memes of people making wild facial expressions trying not to blink, reaction gifs of players getting jump scared, and even parody posts labeling everything from baby siblings to malfunctioning printers as SCP-173-like behavior. SCP-173 isn't just an SCP anymore, it's cultural shorthand. For a whole generation of internet horror fans, it's the moment where the genre stopped telling stories and started building worlds. And it all started with one image, one post, and a rule that still gives people chills. Never look away. SCP-173 in video games and other media. The genius of the game was how it adapted SCP-173's rule into something visceral. The player has a blink meter, a small bar that fills up every few seconds, forcing you to blink whether you want to or not. You can hold it off, but not for long. Every time you blink, the screen goes black for just a split second, but that's when SCP-173 moves. It can go from across the room to inches from your face in that moment. The result? You're constantly spinning your head around, backing into corners, trying to keep it in sight while frantically searching for the exit. It's claustrophobic, it's stressful, and it's very effective. SCP-173 also appears in other SCP-themed games. In SCP Secret Laboratory, a multiplayer experience, one player can actually control SCP-173. The rest of the players take on roles like scientists, D-Class personnel, or MTF units trying to survive. Playing as 173 means stalking the halls, freezing in place whenever someone looks your way, then dashing forward the second they turn. You're not just reacting, you're anticipating human behavior. Outside of direct SCP games, modders and fans have brought SCP-173 into many other gaming worlds. Gary's mod has multiple SCP-themed maps and scenarios, many of which center around 173's behavior. In Half-Life 2 and Left 4 Dead 2, there are mod packs where SCP-173 replaces in-game enemies, often using the same blink mechanic or custom AI scripts that mimic its movement restrictions. Even VR Chat hosts community-built SCP worlds where players act out containment breaches, including 173's classic Snap Your Neck scenario. But video games are just the start. SCP-173 has starred in countless YouTube animations and series, with creators like The Volgun, Dr. Bob, and SCP Animated, Tales from the Foundation, producing entire episodes focused on its containment breaches, behavior, and interactions with other SCPs. One standout is SCP Animated's depiction of 173's interview with Foundation personnel, where it's shown reacting violently even to minor moments of distraction. The animation style keeps it clinical, yet unsettling, perfectly capturing the feel of a Foundation file brought to life. In webcomics, 173 makes cameos across fan series like SCP Comic and the Foundation Files. Artists often play with the concept of off-screen movement by literally leaving blank panels or skipping frames to imply its teleportation. It's also been turned into both comedy and terror. Some comics use it as a punchline, while others build tense arcs around it. One well-known comic by Tumblr user @Alchemist shows a D-Class desperately trying not to blink while giving 173 a thumbs up through tears. It's hilarious and horrifying. Marvelous verdict! SCP-173 might look like a dirty concrete statue with a weird peanut head, but it single-handedly kicked open the door to a whole new kind of terror. And it did all of that with just one rule: don't look away. That rule spawned an entire fictional universe, thousands of SCP entries, viral indie games, YouTube animations, fan comics, memes, mods, you name it. But here's the real question. If you were trapped in a room with SCP-173 for 5 minutes, what would your survival strategy be? Hold your eyelids open with duct tape? Set up mirrors? Drop your ideas down in the comments. We're dying to hear how long you'd last. Seriously, please, we need these ideas. It's important. As always, if you like the breakdown, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe buttons so we can bring you more such deep dives. But until next time, stay sharp and stay safe. We'll catch you next time here at Marvelous Videos.